24 weeks. It's kind of blinding in here right now, so I think I'm just gonna stay behind the curtain. But wow, 24 weeks was emotionally very intense leading up to Malachi's birthday. I spent a lot of time, well, I started out the weekend, I guess, because I turn over on Fridays. I went and I had lunch with a really good friend of mine. We got some Indian buffet at the same restaurant we always go to. The owners know us and recognize us because we always go and stay for a very long time. So that was really nice to get out of the house and stuff. And I spent most of the week just prepping for Malachi's birthday. I had just like a list of things that I wanted to have done or like include in on his birthday. And so that felt good to stay busy because I felt like there was just a lot of pressure building up. I passed his due date. His due date was April 14th. And I remember that day clearly, and every subsequent day leading up to his birthday, I remember very clearly. And so it just felt emotionally very intense. But it was nice to get lunch with my friend, and the magnolia tree that we were gifted for Malachi, it was starting to bloom. And so I think it was really timely. The blooms came like the week basically before and on Malachi's birthday, which was really special. But I had my midwife's appointment, so I went and sat with my midwife, and we had a really good time. I heard Eden's heartbeat, which is always wonderful to hear. And my friend and I have the same midwife, so we got lunch beforehand and we just talked about some really good things, just leading up to Malachi's birthday and stuff like that, and our current pregnancies we're in right now. She gifted me a really cute onesie for Eden, which was really special, and it had little plumeria flowers, which reminds me of Malachi because I wore a plumeria flower in my hair when I gave birth to him. And so it felt like such a beautiful gift to get that. And yeah, we went to my midwife, I think it was like 2 days before Malachi's birthday, and I just felt so emotional, just all the emotion building. It was intense, and my midwife was there, for everything with Malachi. So she was also feeling, a lot of grief and everything like that as well. And we had, a long appointment and just cried with each other and prayed with each other and just talked about how wonderful Malachi was and what a blessing Eden is in my belly at the same time, and just how special my children are. And it was beautiful. I ended up staying later with my midwife. She has these things called these like birth cohorts, basically, where women who are around the same, estimated due date, birth window, whatever you want to say, all to get together. And she has snacks and everything, and she usually holds like some sort of meeting. And it's like very community building as well as like educational, depending on where you are in your pregnancy kind of thing. And normally I don't really stick around for those because I just honestly have a hard time being around other pregnant women who haven't had loss and don't necessarily know my story. It's not that I just like can't be around other pregnant women. It just feels very difficult to navigate. And so my midwife and my really good friend and my other midwife were the only ones who really knew about my story and stuff like that. And we were all sitting around a table and we were talking about postpartum, and I just really didn't know how to, include myself in that situation. Obviously I had a postpartum. I just didn't have a baby. I didn't have a baby with my postpartum. And so it's very hard to relate to my postpartum unless you went through something like that. And I could talk about the things that I could talk about with my pregnancy in Malachi, and then I talked about some things postpartum, but I didn't get to breastfeed. I didn't get to do all these things with a baby. It was just myself, you know, recovering and grieving. And so I just find myself wildly disconnected from other mothers and other pregnant women. And it's really sad because I think we used to live in these communities and societies and very close-knit kind of, I don't know, relationships, like village mentality, where no matter what, we were helping each other out. We were there for people. And living in the States, the United States doesn't have a very collectivistic culture. They're very individualized. We all live away from each other. We live away from family. There's no multi-generational homes. And when something horrible like the loss of a child happens, we don't know how to navigate it. And on one hand, yes, you know, medical advancement has helped save babies and mothers' lives now, you know, in the modern medicine era or age. But with that, it's come this very sterilized approach to othering people who do still deal with loss, because death will continue to always happen. And that's just a hard fact of life that a lot of people just don't want to face. And I understand trying to protect yourself, your energy, your spirit during pregnancy, but at the same time, there's such a loss of community. Just wish that we could have more of that back without obviously having, I just think we were so, it was, for lack of a better word or term or phrase, it was much more normal to lose children and babies in birth and pregnancy back, you know, 100 years ago. And so these communities were equipped to deal with that kind of loss and know how to take care of a mother. We've lost the art of postpartum, and we've lost the beauty of taking care of each other, especially in bad situations. So it just, I can sense it. And I don't blame other women or other mothers necessarily. I think it's a huge societal issue. It's more of like a larger thing at play here that we like need to address. But it just makes me sad because I feel like I'm on the outside. I have a very different perspective of my motherhood. I have a very different perspective of pregnancy and postpartum. And I find it very hard to fit into places. Like, I'm not sure where I can exist authentically, and how much I should share. And I'm an open book, but sometimes people just don't receive my story well with Malachi. Even though I love sharing about my son, even though it's hard to share about my son, it's sad to share about my son. My son isn't sad though. And so that was a big thing that I kind of was navigating through during that birth cohort meeting, I guess you could say. So it just felt very strange. But other than that, you know, I made a plate for Malachi for his birthday. I was very excited about that. I had a huge spaghetti craving randomly. Like, I don't have like weird cravings in pregnancy. I just have like cravings where I'm like, I need to have this now. And so for 2 days straight, I was craving spaghetti and meatballs. And I went to the store. We went to the store at like 10 at night on our way home from a small group. And I made spaghetti at 10 at night. And it was everything I wanted. So that was pretty awesome. And then I had a huge order of Bible bouquet, specifically resurrection bouquets, that I did for Easter and Malachi's Heaven Day, because they fell on the same day. And I was able to spent most of the week working on all of them, putting them together and stuff. And it was really, really tiring, but really productive and good for me to do and occupy my time with. And so I was able to send those all out before Easter. They all didn't arrive on Easter, but it was nice to send them all out with pictures of Malachi in there and everything like that. So the day before Malachi's birthday was the last day that I was at 24 weeks before I turned over to 25 weeks. I picked up my best friend from the airport. She was there for Malachi's birth and everything else. And so she got to be there for Malachi's birthday. And it was so weird. The day before Malachi's birthday, it was the same exact weather that we had last year, a year to the T. And I had a major breakdown, and I think I just needed to release that pent-up energy, that grief, that anticipatory grief that was just building. So 24 weeks was good. In a lot of ways, it was really good. In a lot of ways, it was really hard, and I think that's just my life now, you know?